Hey everyone, what's up? It's Sarah and welcome back to my channel. So first, a few housekeeping items. I'm sorry that I've kind of been MIA the last couple days. Well, not really. I've still been on Instagram, but I actually got really sick going Thursday night into Friday, and Friday I was literally in bed all day. So really, I was planning on getting some content out, but I just didn't happen. I just really needed to rest. So I appreciate you guys for sticking with me through that. I am feeling a lot better. I just have had this lingering headache that has lasted literally for 3 days almost at this point. So hopefully that goes away soon, but I'm just trying to hydrate and drink a lot of water. So with that being said, I'm also adding some like greenery. I don't know, gives it a little bit of a vibe. And, you know, the bookshelves were a lot. It was really cluttered, but I think this just adds a little something, kind of tie the look together. I'm having this other plant stand that's being delivered today, so it'll kind of balance out the sides. So yeah. Thus concludes my housekeeping items. So what I wanted to talk about in today's video is kind of piggybacking off of two other videos I made. So one video I made was, and I will link both of these videos down in the comments, but one was the fact that the Brown family did not have to flee in the middle of the night from their Utah home that was totally fraud. It was never likely that Kody was going to face jail time or there would be this big prosecution. And we know they were already living wide out in the open as polygamists. It was well known. And their good friends, the Dargers, have always stayed in Utah and they live out and in the open as polygamists. So there was really no imminent danger there for them, but they still had to flee. So check out that video. Then I made another video about how Robyn was really this behind the scenes manipulator for the move to Flagstaff. Kody had been going on and on for several episodes towards the beginning of the season where they ultimately decide to move to Flagstaff, but he wanted to move back to Utah. So like, why Flagstaff? Well, turns out Dayton got into a college in northern Arizona, so it was Flagstaff. So I made a video on that. Be sure to check that out. What I wanted to talk about today is how it seems that since Robyn has come into the picture, all of their moves have been for the sole benefit of Robyn, and the lack of moving has also been for the sole benefit of Robyn. And that's what I wanted to talk about. I already talked about how them fleeing Utah the way that they did and moving to Vegas all haphazardly really did give season 2 a lot of drama. It was a big ratings boost. It really solidified that show as a staple in the TLC lineup. So I get why they did it the way that they did, even though the authenticity of that was zero. There was no authenticity to that. It also made Utah, for the purposes of the show, it made Utah look like the big bad wolf. Like, here is this family. They're just trying to, get by. They're just trying to be a family. They're not trying to impose on anybody. They just want to be left alone. And they're being forced out because of the big bad state of Utah. But also realistically, they had to move. The Lehigh house was set up perfectly for Mary Janelle and Christine. It would not have accommodated another wife coming in with 3 kids. There just was no room. And when they were fleeing Lehigh to go to Utah, they were renting Robyn a separate house nearby. So while objectively, I completely agree that Robyn is not the most sympathetic person, and I think her motives for doing things a lot of times is very self-serving. In this situation, 3 against 1, that dynamic would not have worked out. So they really did have to move, but they did not have to move to Vegas. They had previously lived in Wyoming. That's where Kody is from. That's where his family ranch is. And we know that Robyn previously lived in Montana, and I believe that's where Dayton, Aurora, and Brianna's biological father was living. So if they wanted to be in a polygamy-friendly area and maintain a relationship with the biological father of her kids, I mean, that seems like a win-win. So why Las Vegas? Well, all the adult Browns do have ties to other states. Robyn actually does have family ties to the state of Nevada, and particularly the city of Las Vegas. Her stepdad, who she considers her dad, worked and lived in the city of Las Vegas. And you actually see her parents on the show attend Ari and Saul's home births. They were like super involved in the room. So they moved to Las Vegas, which was kind of odd. Kody always says that he was exiled to Vegas. So he doesn't view this move to Vegas as any kind of positive thing. They could have arguably moved to a community that was polygamous friendly and closer to more of their family. I mean, shoot, Janelle's mom was married to Kody's dad. That's 2 grandparents right there that they could have been closer to. And like I said, it seems like all the moves or lack of moves after Robyn came into the picture were all for Robyn's benefit. We know that the kids have told us that before Robyn came into the picture, before Sister Wives, they had moved like a dozen times. And they talk about it in the book. At one point, Janelle was living separately from the rest of the family. So these kids were used to moving. And I've talked about it on this channel. Viewers have talked about it online. Kids were robbed of stability in their childhood, and that's really sad. It seemed like, from what the kids talk about, Lehigh was the house where they have the fondest childhood memories, where they feel like they had the most stability. I've always said that besides that situation, the Las Vegas cul-de-sac dynamic really seemed to suit the Browns' family structure, the way they wanted to have all the wives having their own space, and the kids could freely go from house to house and still mingle with each other. That seemed like the perfect setup, but Kody has this urge to always upset the balance. But you notice, so they had moved like a dozen times in the 16 years before Robyn came into the picture. That's almost every year. Since Robyn came into the picture, they've moved twice. And Robyn has always maintained that she hates to move, doesn't want to move. She wants to plant roots and bury Kody in the ground and plant and cover him up with dirt or whatever she said. So I find it really interesting that Kody has been able to be staved off of his desire to move quite a bit, whereas the other 3 were not able to do that. The 2 times that they do move after Robyn were arguably they had to move. They couldn't all live in that Lehigh house, like I said. But they could have moved anywhere, but they moved to Vegas where, boom, Robyn's parents live there. And then, Kody has been talking about wanting to move for a couple years, and it seems like the wives have successfully blown him off for 3 years. He really makes this pitch to move to Utah, and then boom, Dayton gets into school in Arizona, so let's move to Arizona. It all seems very convenient that all of the times these moves have happened, it works out quite well for Robyn. And as far as Flagstaff goes, because, according to Robyn, they're there now. Like, she doesn't want to move again, even though her family, she has family in St. George. She would love to see her family, be near her family, but shoot, they all just moved to Flagstaff and she wants to settle there. And that was the big reason why she shot Christine down. I think that viewers, the general public, and I think most of the wives realize that at this point, building on Coyote Pass is never going to happen. I don't even think Robyn really cares if building on Coyote Pass really happens. She's living in her McMansion that they don't have to, they don't have to truck in water for it. They don't have to do any of that. They don't have to, excavate land or anything. It's there. Boom, she can live in it. I think for all she cares, they could sell Coyote Pass and still remain in Flagstaff. The only thing that I think would get Robyn to move again is if one of her kids got into a school out of state. And the thing is that really with the way that Robyn raises her family and the dynamic that she has established for her kids, it's like only one of them is allowed to have a dream at a time because, okay, Dayton got into school, so everybody has to go where Dayton goes. Let's say one of her other kids gets into a school, so they all have to go over there. God forbid two of her kids get into schools in 2 different states. Whatever is she gonna do? Or gasp, if one of them gets into a relationship and gets married, is she just gonna follow? She has 5 kids. How is she ever going to manage? Anyways, you guys, I was just thinking about that while I was sick in bed on Friday, so I wanted to come on here and talk about it with you all. So let me know what you think down in the comments. Make sure you like this video, subscribe to my channel, follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Reality Squad, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Take care. Have a good one. Much love.